Today, I'm going to show you the specific coffee mistake that is causing your blood pressure to remain stubbornly high throughout the entire day. Many seniors believe they are enjoying a harmless morning ritual, but this one overlooked habit is actually putting a significant strain on your cardiovascular system from the moment you wake up. It is often frustrating when you follow your diet and take your medications only to see those numbers stay in the red zone without any clear explanation. I have seen this exact pattern in my clinic for decades, and the solution is much simpler than most people realize once you understand how your body processes caffeine as you age. I remember a woman named Margaret, who was 67 years old and deeply frustrated because her systolic pressure stayed above 150 despite her healthy lifestyle. She began experiencing frequent morning headaches and a strange fluttering in her chest that made her feel constantly on edge and worried about her heart health every single day. Her previous doctor might have told her that a couple of cups of coffee were perfectly safe, but they didn't explain how her specific morning routine was triggering a hormonal surge. Before we dive into the solutions, please drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from and what your usual blood pressure numbers look like after your first cup of coffee. I want to hear about your experience. 1. You should avoid drinking your first cup of coffee on an empty stomach immediately after you wake up in the morning. This simple shift in timing allows your body to regulate its natural hormone levels before introducing a stimulant that can cause a sharp spike in your arterial pressure. Arthur was 72 years old and always started his day with a large black coffee before even getting dressed or having a glass of water to start his day. He noticed that his pulse would race and his face would feel uncomfortably warm, yet he never connected these physical sensations to the timing of his caffeine intake. Arthur was a very active man who enjoyed gardening, but his morning readings were consistently high enough to cause his family great concern and keep him feeling fatigued. When you first wake up, your body naturally releases a hormone called cortisol, which is designed to help you transition from sleep to wakefulness and get your systems moving. Adding caffeine to this natural peak creates a double spike effect that can stiffen your blood vessels for several hours, making it much harder for your heart to pump blood efficiently. For seniors, the vascular system is often less flexible than it once was, meaning these sudden surges are more difficult for the body to absorb and manage compared to younger adults. Recent studies have shown that delaying your caffeine intake by even 60 to 90 minutes can significantly reduce the peak pressure your heart experiences during the early morning hours. To implement this change, try to consume a small, protein-rich snack or a bowl of oatmeal before you ever reach for your coffee mug. This provides a buffer for your stomach lining and slows the absorption of caffeine into your bloodstream, leading to a much more gradual and manageable rise in heart rate. You should also try to incorporate a few minutes of deep, rhythmic breathing or a very light stroll around your home before your first sip. This acts as a same-day lever to prime your nervous system for the day, ensuring that your blood vessels are relaxed and ready for the minor stimulant effect. This simple adjustment supports steadier readings and prevents that mid-morning crash that many seniors mistake for a need for even more coffee. 2. You must ensure that you are following a strict 1-for-1 hydration rule by drinking a full glass of water for every cup of coffee you consume. This habit prevents the dehydration that often leads to thicker blood and higher resistance within your arteries, which is a common cause of elevated readings in older adults. Beatrice was 68 and loved her 3 cups of morning coffee, but she rarely drank plain water until much later in the afternoon when she felt thirsty. She often felt a dull thumping in her ears and a sense of lightheadedness whenever she stood up too quickly from her favorite armchair. Beatrice didn't realize that her favorite beverage was acting as a diuretic, slowly depleting her body of the fluids needed to keep her blood flowing smoothly. As we age, our natural thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive, meaning we might be significantly dehydrated before we even realize we need a drink of water. Caffeine compounds this issue by encouraging the kidneys to flush out extra fluid, which can cause the volume of your blood to drop while the concentration of minerals remains high. This makes the blood more viscous or thick, requiring the heart to exert much more force to push it through the narrow vessels in your extremities. By staying hydrated, you maintain a healthy blood volume, which allows your arteries to remain more flexible and responsive to changes in your physical activity or stress levels throughout the day. If you enjoy coffee, make it a point to drink 8 ounces of room temperature water as soon as you wake up and another 8 ounces alongside your coffee. You might also find it helpful to use a dedicated water bottle that you keep in your visual field as a constant reminder to take small sips between your coffee breaks. If you find plain water unappealing, adding a small slice of lemon or cucumber can make it more refreshing without adding any unwanted sugars or chemicals. This practice is particularly easy on the joints and can be done by anyone at home regardless of their current fitness level or mobility. This supports steadier readings and helps your kidneys function more efficiently as they process the morning's caffeine. Please take a moment to subscribe for more simple blood pressure and senior health tips that you can use every day to stay healthy. 3. You should never measure your blood pressure within 30 minutes of finishing a cup of coffee if you want to get an accurate reading. Taking your numbers too soon after caffeine consumption often leads to falsely high results that can cause unnecessary anxiety and lead to improper medication adjustments. Clarence was 75 years old and had a habit of checking his blood pressure right at the kitchen table while he finished his second mug of morning brew. He was consistently seeing numbers like 160/95, which sent him into a spiral of worry and prompted him to call his doctor frequently. Clarence was convinced his medication had stopped working, but the reality was that he was simply measuring his caffeine peak rather than his true resting baseline. Caffeine is a potent vasoconstrictor, meaning it causes the smooth muscles in your artery walls to tighten and narrow the space through which blood can flow. This effect is temporary, usually peaking within 30 to 60 minutes of consumption, but it can easily add 10 to 15 points to your systolic reading. For an accurate measurement, you must allow this initial stimulant effect to subside and ensure your body is in a truly relaxed state before applying the cuff. Accurate home measurement is the cornerstone of managing your health, yet many seniors are never taught the proper protocol for ensuring their daily numbers are actually reflecting their cardiovascular health. To get the most reliable numbers, sit quietly in a chair with back support for at least 5 minutes before starting your blood pressure monitor. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor, your legs are uncrossed, and your arm is supported at heart level on a table or armrest. It is also vital to use the correct cuff size. A cuff that is too small for your arm will give a reading that is artificially high, while one that is too large will read too low. Avoid talking or looking at your phone during the measurement process, as even minor mental stimulation can cause a temporary rise in your pressure. This careful approach ensures your data is accurate and helps your healthcare provider make the best decisions for your long-term wellness. 4. Be very cautious about the additives you put in your coffee, as certain sugars and non-dairy creamers can cause inflammation that worsens your blood pressure. Many seniors switch to sugar-free or low-fat options, thinking they are making a healthier choice. But these products often contain synthetic ingredients that trigger a vascular stress response. Dorothy was 70 years old and took great pride in her diet, but she used a popular flavored powdered creamer every morning to make her coffee more enjoyable. She noticed that her ankles were often swollen by the evening, and her blood pressure remained elevated even after the caffeine should have worn off. Dorothy was surprised to learn that the highly processed oils in her creamer were contributing to her chronic inflammation. Inflammation in the lining of the blood vessels, known as the endothelium, makes it much harder for the arteries to dilate and contract as they should to regulate pressure. When you consume artificial sweeteners or processed vegetable oils found in many coffee additives, you may be causing a low-grade irritation that persists long after the drink is finished. This makes your vascular system stiff, which is a primary driver of high blood pressure in adults over the age of 60. Recent studies have highlighted that seniors who stick to natural additives like a splash of real milk or a pinch of cinnamon tend to have much better arterial flexibility. If you prefer your coffee with a bit of flavor, consider using small amounts of whole milk, unsweetened almond milk, or even a dash of nutmeg to provide taste without the chemical load. Always read the labels on your creamers and avoid anything that lists hydrogenated oils, high fructose corn syrup, or a long list of unpronounceable chemical preservatives. Making this switch can have a profound impact on your overall vascular health and may even help reduce the puffiness and fluid retention you experience in your legs and feet. It is a simple, long-term lever that focuses on food patterns to support your heart health for years to come. This supports steadier readings and keeps your morning routine from becoming a source of hidden health risks. Take a second to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on these simple, life-changing health tips for seniors. 5. You should be mindful of how your coffee consumption may be affecting your body's essential mineral levels, particularly magnesium, which is vital for keeping your arteries relaxed and flexible. Maintaining adequate magnesium levels is one of the most effective ways to ensure your blood pressure stays within a healthy range as you get older. Eugene was an 80-year-old gentleman who had enjoyed several cups of coffee every single day for most of his adult life, but lately, he had been experiencing frequent leg cramps and a general sense of tightness in his chest. He felt as though his body was constantly under tension, and his doctor noted that his diastolic pressure, the bottom number, was beginning to creep up into concerning territory. Eugene didn't realize that the very beverage he relied on for energy was slowly acting as a thief, flushing out the minerals his heart needed to stay calm. Recent studies have highlighted that caffeine can interfere with the way our kidneys reabsorb magnesium and calcium, leading to a higher rate of mineral loss through urination. For a senior, this is particularly significant because our bodies already have a harder time absorbing these nutrients from the food we eat compared to when we were younger. When your magnesium levels drop, your blood vessels cannot fully relax, leading to a state of chronic constriction that keeps your pressure elevated regardless of how much you rest. This is often why some people see their numbers stay high even late into the evening after their morning coffee should have long since worn off. Understanding this biological link allows you to take proactive steps to replenish what the coffee might be taking away from your system. To balance this effect, you might consider incorporating more magnesium-rich foods into your daily diet, such as pumpkin seeds, spinach, or even a small square of very dark chocolate. Some seniors also find it helpful to speak with their healthcare provider about a gentle supplement or using magnesium flakes in a warm foot soak to help relax the vascular system before bed. It is also a good idea to ensure you are eating these mineral-dense foods a few hours apart from your coffee to maximize their absorption and benefit. This is a simple long-term strategy that focuses on the underlying health of your arteries rather than just the temporary numbers on the screen. This supports steadier readings and ensures your cardiovascular system has the foundational tools it needs to function properly. 6. You should establish a strict cutoff time for your coffee intake to prevent the afternoon carryover effect from disrupting your natural nighttime blood pressure dipping. Ensuring that your body has enough time to metabolize caffeine before you sleep is essential for allowing your heart rate and pressure to reach their lowest, most restorative levels during the night. Florence was 66 and took great pride in her sleep routine, but she often enjoyed a small cup of decaf or a light latte in the mid-afternoon while she read her book. She was puzzled when her morning blood pressure readings were consistently high, even before she had her first cup of the day. Florence didn't realize that even small amounts of caffeine can linger in a senior's system for much longer than they do in a younger person's body. As we age, our liver processes substances like caffeine much more slowly, meaning the half-life of that afternoon cup can extend well into the late evening hours. This can prevent your blood pressure from dipping at night, which is a natural and necessary drop of about 10 to 20% that allows your heart to rest and your vessels to repair themselves. If your pressure stays high throughout the night because of residual caffeine, you wake up with a head start on high blood pressure before your day even begins. Recent studies show that non-dippers, or people whose pressure stays high during sleep, are at a much higher risk for long-term cardiovascular strain than those who allow their bodies to rest fully. If you want to protect your heart, try to have your last sip of coffee no later than 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning to give your body a full 12 hours to clear the stimulant. If you find yourself craving a warm beverage in the afternoon, consider switching to a truly caffeine-free herbal tea like chamomile or peppermint, which can actually help soothe the nervous system. You should also pay attention to how your evening readings compare to your morning ones. to see if your body is successfully entering that restorative dipping phase. This is an easy change that most older adults can try safely without any complicated equipment or expensive lifestyle shifts. This supports steadier readings and helps you wake up feeling more refreshed and balanced every morning. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe for more simple health tips tailored specifically for seniors who want to take control of their blood pressure naturally. 7. You should try to pair your morning coffee with a short period of light, gentle movement to help your body process the temporary spike in heart rate and pressure. Utilizing a same-day lever like a 10-minute walk can help metabolize the caffeine more efficiently while keeping your arteries dilated and your circulation moving smoothly. Gerald was 73 and noticed that after his morning coffee, he often felt a bit jittery and his heart felt like it was thumping harder than usual against his ribs. He used to sit very still in his recliner after drinking his coffee, thinking that resting would help his heart calm down, but his numbers actually stayed higher for longer when he remained sedentary. Gerald decided to try a very light routine of walking around his garden or doing gentle arm circles while his coffee was brewing and immediately after finishing his cup. Light physical activity encourages the release of nitric oxide in your bloodstream, which is a natural gas that tells your blood vessels to open up and relax. When you move your body, you are essentially giving the pressure a place to go rather than letting it build up inside your stationary arteries. For seniors, this doesn't mean doing anything strenuous. Even a slow pace is enough to signal to your heart that it can pump more effectively without having to work against high resistance. Recent studies have found that combining light activity with caffeine can actually improve vascular function more than caffeine alone, as the movement offsets the restrictive nature of the stimulant. To make this a habit, try walking from room to room or doing some very light stretching in your kitchen while you enjoy your morning beverage. You might also find it helpful to stand up and do a few gentle calf raises or seated leg lifts if you prefer to stay in one place while you drink. If you have any concerns about your balance or joint health, you can easily perform these movements while holding on to a sturdy piece of furniture for support. Make sure to keep your breathing deep and even during these movements to further signal to your nervous system that you are safe and relaxed. This simple practice is easy on the joints and can be done by almost anyone at home. This supports steadier readings and prevents that lingering sense of tension that often follows a strong cup of coffee. 8. You should be mindful of the temperature of your coffee, as drinking beverages that are extremely hot can trigger a thermal stress response that temporarily elevates your blood pressure. Allowing your coffee to cool to a comfortable, warm temperature ensures that your internal systems stay calm and prevents a sudden surge of stress hormones. Hazel was 71 and loved her coffee piping hot, often taking her first sip while steam was still billowing from the mug. She often felt a sudden flush in her cheeks and a slight tightening in her throat, which she initially thought was just the warmth of the drink. However, Hazel was surprised to find that her blood pressure would jump by several points immediately after she finished her very hot drink, even if the caffeine content was low. When you consume something very hot, your body perceives it as a minor form of physical stress, which can trigger the fight or flight branch of your nervous system. This causes your heart to beat slightly faster and your blood vessels to constrict in response to the heat, creating a temporary but significant rise in your arterial pressure. For seniors whose systems are often more sensitive to environmental changes, this thermal spike can add unnecessary strain to an already taxed cardiovascular system. By choosing a more moderate temperature, you allow your body to process the drink in a much more peaceful and regulated manner. This is a longer-term lever that involves adjusting your daily habits to reduce the cumulative stress on your heart over time. To implement this, try waiting at least 5 to 7 minutes after pouring your coffee before you take your first sip, or consider adding a small splash of cold milk to bring the temperature down instantly. You can also use this time to practice a few moments of mindfulness or gratitude, which further helps to lower your baseline stress levels before you start your day. If you find it hard to wait, try using a traditional ceramic mug instead of a highly insulated travel tumbler, as the ceramic will allow the heat to dissipate more naturally. This small adjustment is a very simple way to protect your vascular health without having to give up the flavor or the ritual that you enjoy so much. This supports steadier readings and ensures that your morning routine remains a source of comfort rather than a source of physical stress. If you know someone over 50 who could benefit from this, share this video and subscribe for more simple blood pressure tips.